You are choking in the thick black smoke of your burning city, huddled in a cellar, praying to gods who have clearly already left the chat. The heavy wooden door above you violently splinters apart. You brace yourself for screaming barbarian and mindless slaughter, but what actually steps through the door is so much worse. It's a Mongol logistics officer. He looks at you, points a finger, and you are immediately dragged up into the blinding sunlight by two heavily armored cavalrymen. Welcome to the Mongol Empire, where the end of your world isn't a chaotic tragedy. It is a highly organized, terrifyingly efficient supply chain acquisition. You look around the burning ruins of your home. Everything you have ever known is ash. But the Mongols aren't just burning things. They are meticulously sorting the survivors. You are shoved into a massive open-air staging ground. This is an apocalyptic livestock auction, and you are the livestock. The Mongol army operates on the most ruthless meritocracy in human history. They don't care about your noble bloodline. They don't care who your dad was. They only care about your utility. You are stripped of your jewelry. You are evaluated. They check your teeth, your hair, your build. You are standing in the most terrifying, high-stakes casting call on Earth, being appraised by men who smell like dried blood and fermented horse milk. If you are older, sick, or deemed unattractive, your free trial of life is instantly canceled. You are pushed to the edge of the camp and executed to save rations. But if you pass the visual inspection, if you are young, healthy, and conventionally pretty, congratulations! You have just been officially classified as premium military loot. You aren't a person anymore. You are a human participation trophy. The Mongol military operates on a strict decimal system, and the spoils of war are divided with terrifying mathematical precision. You are about to become a heavily traumatized performance bonus. If you are incredibly beautiful, or if you belong to the conquered royal family, you are immediately packed up and shipped directly to the absolute top of the pyramid, the Great Khan himself, or his top generals. But you are just a regular, attractive civilian, so you are handed out to the middle management. A grizzled, battle-hardened squad leader walks up to you. He has a bow slung over his shoulder, a terrifying collection of scars, an absolute, unquestionable ownership of your entire physical existence. He doesn't speak your language. He doesn't care about your tears. He tosses you over the back of a spare pony like you are a biological duffel bag. This is the start of the sexualized, non-consensual economy of the steppe. For the Mongol soldier, you serve three distinct purposes. First, you are a status symbol. Owning captive women proves he is a successful warrior. Second, you are a mobile domestic appliance. And third, when the sun goes down and the campfires are lit, you are his mandatory, unquestioning romantic entertainment. There is no getting to know each other. There is no flirting. You are trapped in a terrifying language barrier hostage situation where your entire survival depends on your complete and utter submission. If you fight back, he doesn't argue with you. He simply kills you and replaces you at the next city. You are entirely disposable. So, you mentally clock out. You dissociate. You let your mind float somewhere far away while your body goes through the horrific motions required to stay alive. But the nightmare of the night is nothing compared to the nightmare of the morning. Because now, the army is moving out. The Mongols are a nomadic war machine. They do not stay in one place. They live in the saddle, crossing thousands of miles of the harshest, most unforgiving terrain on the planet. And you have to keep up. You are tied to a horse. You are given the bare minimum of water. The steppe sun beats down on you until your skin blisters. The freezing wind cuts through your stolen clothes at night. If you fall off your horse, they don't stop the caravan. You are dragged through the dirt until you either manage to pull yourself back up or you die. You watch other captives drop from exhaustion, dehydration, and exposure. Their bodies are just left in the grass for the wolves. You realize that to the Mongol war machine, human life has a shelf life, and yours is expiring rapidly. But let's say you survive the march. Let's say you are tough enough to endure the brutal journey across the endless ocean of grass. You finally arrive at the Mongol heartland, the permanent encampment. You think, okay, we are here. Maybe things will settle down. Maybe I can just quietly serve this guy and fly under the radar. Absolutely not, because you just met the final boss of Mongol Captivity, his wife, the Khatun. Welcome to the most terrifying domestic hierarchy in human history. In the Mongol Empire, while the men were off conquering the globe, the women ran the entire society. Mongol wives weren't delicate princesses hiding in towers. They were hardened, brilliant, terrifying CEOs of the steppe. They rode horses, they shot bows. They managed the herds, and they held massive political power. And she is now your direct supervisor. You are dragged into the GER, the traditional felt tent. The wife looks at you. She doesn't see a tragic victim of war. She sees an unpaid intern who is currently sleeping with her husband, and she absolutely hates you. You are the lowest conceivable rung on the social ladder. You are a foreign captive, a concubine, and a slave. The husband might have claimed you as a prize, but during the day, he is out riding, which means you are left alone in the tent with a powerful, heavily armed woman who views your existence as an annoying chore. She delegates all the worst, most physically agonizing tasks to you. You aren't just sweeping the floor. You are plunged into the horrific, smelling, bone-breaking reality of nomadic labor. You spend 12 hours a day churning fermented mare's milk in a massive leather sack until your shoulders physically lock up. You are sent out into the freezing wind to collect dried animal dung to use as fuel for the fire, because there are no trees on the steppe. Your hands are permanently stained, calloused, and freezing. You process raw animal hides. You scrape the fat off dead sheep. You are covered in blood, grease, and dirt, while the Mongol wife sits on a pile of imported silk cushions, aggressively criticizing your technique. And the psychological warfare is relentless. If you make a mistake, she doesn't write you up for HR. She beats you. If the husband shows you too much attention, the wife retaliates by doubling your workload and starving you for a day. You are trapped in a twisted, hyper-toxic love triangle, where your only role is to be the punching bag for both sides. You are a concubine at night and a draft animal during the day. And what happens if you get pregnant? This is where the psychological dread hits its absolute peak. Because in the Mongol system, children born to captive women are legally recognized. But they aren't yours. If you deliver a son, you don't become a respected mother. The child belongs to the Mongol father and is integrated into the tribe. The child is raised as a Mongol. You have to watch your own child grow up speaking a language you barely understand, worshiping the gods of the men who burned your city to the ground. Your son will be trained to ride, to shoot, and to conquer. You are literally breeding the next generation of the army that destroyed your life. And you can't even hold him when he cries, because the Mongol wife will likely take over the primary maternal role, treating you like a disposable surrogate who has already served her purpose. Years go by. The wind and the sun age you prematurely. Your old life starts to feel like a hallucination. The memory of your family, your city, the food you used to eat, it all fades into a blurry, distant dream. You slowly realize that there is no rescue party coming. The Mongol Empire is too big. They own half the known world. There is nowhere to run. If you steal a horse and ride in any direction, you will just hit 1,000 miles of empty grass before you starve to death. So, you do the only thing a human mind can do when trapped in a permanent, inescapable nightmare. You assimilate. You start speaking their language, because forgetting your native tongue is easier than remembering what it sounded like to be free. You start wearing their clothes. You start eating their food. You stop flinching when the husband walks into the tent. You start anticipating the wife's demands before she even makes them. You become a perfectly engineered, heavily traumatized gear in the Mongol machine. One day, the army returns from a new campaign. Your husband walks into the tent, dragging a terrified, sobbing young woman behind him. She is wearing the clothes of a distant, conquered city. Her eyes are wide with the exact same paralyzing horror you felt 10 years ago. The Mongol wife looks at the new girl, rolls her eyes, and points to the corner. And you look at the new captive. You see the fresh grief on her face. You see her soul actively shattering. And you don't feel pity. You don't feel anger. You just hand her the bucket for the animal dung and point toward the door, because your empathy was burned away a decade ago. It sucks to be a woman in Mongol captivity, not because of the brutal labor or the freezing winters or the endless ocean of grass. It sucks because the Mongol system doesn't just conquer your city. It meticulously, methodically conquers your entire mind. It strips you of your agency, repackages you as a biological commodity, and forces you to become a silent accomplice in the very war machine that destroyed you. You survive it, you endure it, but you never, ever escape it.